He created a place for me.
Wow.
So I didn't fit my community or my society anymore because women were not supposed to speak when men were speaking. And I remember way back when I had, a relationship, the guy told me, go to the kitchen where the women are. You're not supposed to be
No
here.
way.
And I said, what is this?
Today we have a recognized expert in entrepreneurship and philanthropy, born in the Dominican Republic and currently living in the United States. Maria is a serial entrepreneur, a Christian woman committed to her community. In addition to being a mother, she is an outstanding coach and leader, motivated to share her knowledge and contribute to the growth of others. Maria Jacobo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm super good. And thank you again for inviting me to this show.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great honor to have you here. When I look at you, because I follow you on social media, and I see what you're doing, and it reminds me of in Genesis, where for like 25 verses.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's true. For like 25 verses, God is making creation, and then He says, "Hey, let's create man and woman in the image of God, in the likeness of God."
Yes.
And he goes on to say that, when we think about how God creates us and the DNA that we have of Christ, because we have His DNA to create. And I see you doing all that. Everything you're doing.
Thank you.
I mean, there's so much. How do you feel about, everything that you've done so far? And I'm sure you got a lot more to do.
It has to be, first of all, it has to be with age. I'm way older than you. I think we met when you were like a teenager.
Probably, yeah.
We go way back.
Early 20s, I would say.
Yes. Yeah. And, but I never thought that I was accomplishing something. I always thought I'm serving the people around me out of love.
Yeah.
So when I look back, it's like I'm even amazed. I don't even see sometimes what I'm able to do. And I'm always like, you mentioned the Bible. I always promise myself that whatever God put in front of me to do or to solve, I will do it.
That's awesome.
And then that's how I have been able to build what I've built today. And it's funny that you used in Genesis the creation.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I use in one of my books that's called Rest of Glory. And it's exactly that God said, let us create men and women to our own image and likeness. And He made a distinction to His image. And we have an image today that is, to the likeness of Christ. And people don't make that difference sometimes on what means to be made to His image. And that means that I resemble Him.
Right.
That I look like Him. And an image is a reflection of something. And then to the likeness mean that I'm like God. And then people forget that they're like God.
Right.
In what am I like Him?
Yeah.
And then there is some attributes that God has that He has embedded in, like you mentioned, the DNA of God in us. Not only that we're creative, but we also have the capacity of love. And we are also able to communicate so much our feelings and emotions that we don't think that God does that. But, the first thing that He did was created us out of love.
Right.
So that's an emotion. So how are we connected to God?
We're so
through
connected.
All this. It's we are like Him.
Yeah.
It's like you have children, right?
I have 3 of them.
So then when you look at it, exactly. So I have 2. And when I look at them, I can see myself in them.
Right.
Not only in the physical way, because sometimes I say they look more than their dad, but when I look at their personalities, it's so much like me.
Yeah.
And in certain traits, and so much like their dad. But that's what it is.
That's amazing.
And then we never think that we have these attributes because we limit ourselves. Religion today
That's crazy
has
how that
put a
happens.
limit on what you can do, how you can see yourself, and how you can co-create
Right.
with God.
That's
So
such a beautiful. I mean, you said like we can just pause there
Yeah.
and talk about this all night, right? The whole thing about being like seeing yourself in the mirror,
Yes.
having that reflection of God, our Creator. I mean, He created the heavens, the earths, everything in it, everything outside of it. And when you say in the likeness, that reflection, talk to me a little bit about that, because I mean, we're going to get right into it. I wanted to give you a little introduction of your background, but since you mentioned that, I'd like to, keep going on that note. When you talk about how people view themselves, I know you have one of your consultant firms, and
Yes.
you do consultancy or
Yes.
For image and like
Personal and corporate image.
So, and you have the perspective of the Christian world, right? Because you're a Christian and you're so devoted to that too. So it's almost like how we see ourselves inside is what comes out.
Absolutely.
And like, if people can grab that concept of, hey, we are made in his image, in his likeness, we can create out of nothing. And in business, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. I mean, business is not something detached from us, or
Right.
entrepreneurship, or even where we work.
Yeah.
All of it's connected. Some people are more comfortable in one way or the other. But what I think today's society, coming from a Christian background or any other background, we have been taught, specifically in school or Christianity or anywhere else, to conform to what they're teaching us without questioning sometimes where that teaching comes from. And when I look at, for example, in church,
Yeah.
when you come to a church, the first thing you notice is all the things that you're doing wrong and that you need to put to a standard of God.
Yeah.
It's never about how well you're doing. The rest, it's in God's hands. Now, let's grow, all these great aptitudes that you have and the gift and talents that God gave you, so the rest will minimize itself.
Wow.
So it's never under that perspective. It's usually you're never good enough, you never measure enough, and then you have today mini kingdoms, like I call it in churches,
Yeah.
that people just put themselves above others.
Yeah.
And that is not what God intended.
That actually pushes people away.
And not only pushes people away, but coming from a perspective of growth, you don't see many people then in that kind of setting growing their own ministry or creating what God called them to do out of purpose. Because what we see today is like, I'm going to go to school
Yeah.
and I'm going to have a career, or I'm going to, go to school and become an entrepreneur because I need to produce money.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most successful business today are not about, I'm going to do this because I want to produce money. The most successful business and business people out there is because they're solving a problem.
The bigger the problem you're solving,
And the better. And sometimes it doesn't have to be that big.
Yeah.
I always put this sample to my students because later on I teach a boot camp in FAU for entrepreneurship in Spanish.
Gotcha.
And then it always dawned to me that the simpler the idea, the bigger the impact.
Wow.
For example, somebody, have you gone swimming? I mean, I'm sure you have your kids and you have bought this little spaghetti strap kind of thing that people float in it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that guy was rejected so many times. People thought that
Was
it was
he?
ridiculous, that nobody was going to ever buy that.
I never
And
heard
he's
of that
a
story.
multi-millionaire.
Wow, look at that.
I mean,
Yeah,
to this
it's-
day, we buy that even to
yeah.
have our pool look good.
Yeah.
Right? So when you think about those little things that people do out of necessity, I don't want to be having a little floater that I'm going to be there. Let me just change a little bit the narrative. You become disruptive
Yeah.
in a way. And that's what it is. So when we take that to God, when you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're always looking yourself through the lens that you're not capable, that you're not good enough, that you have to fix all these things for you to accomplish something. And that something sometimes never comes because you're trying to achieve certain levels so you can do. No, I don't have to do anything. I am.
Wow.
God's name, when they ask, who sent me? I am.
Yeah.
Imagine Moses saying something. It wasn't about God. It was about Moses. I am who got sent. The big I am.
Yeah.
Who sent you? I am. Because I am I'm here and things are going to happen.
It's so deep.
It is really connected to our DNA.
Yeah.
So when you know that God sent you to a place and that when he sends you, he will back you up. The same
Right.
way that he backed up Moses, he hasn't changed.
Right.
Then you're going to start believing and giving those steps to do what and accomplish what God
Yeah.
puts in your heart.
Yeah.
It's not about money or resources. They'll come. It's how I see myself to achieve it and how am I presenting this idea to make it happen.
That's amazing. I mean, you just gave us a whole business course, masterclass, in those last 5 minutes. I mean, I'd
Good.
love to be able to talk more in depth. I mean, there's so many avenues we could go. For the benefit of our guests, I'd like to, what's your background? So people that don't know you, what's your background?
Wow.
Briefly in 2-3 minutes, tell me, what's your background? Like, how did you end up doing all the things that you are
Let
doing?
me tell you, I graduated very, very early from high school at 15. I was very young. So, of course, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I enrolled in something that I thought I wanted to please my dad, which was computer engineering.
Oh, wow.
That was my first enrollment. And then I enrolled into it because all my life I wanted to study abroad. I come from a small island, Dominican Republic, little town city in the center of the island. So in my time, I'm going to be 52 on Friday.
No way.
So in my time and in my kind of upbringing, a woman couldn't dream of going overseas by herself,
Wow.
to study.
not.
Could
Like, it
not.
wasn't
It's
common.
a very chauvinistic. What I was expected to do was, not to study or study something simple, get married and have kids. But my dad, he would call me Maria ¿por qué? Maria, why?
You would ask
Because
him
I will
questions.
ask so many questions when I was little. He will sit with me and read the news and ask my point of view. And my dad created a place for me at the table. He will
Wow.
bring me to work. He was a banker. He developed banks in an area in my country, and then he worked for the central bank. So all his projects, he will bring me along.
So he was a businessman.
He was very
entrepreneurial.
a very,
kinda
very,
like
very
entrepreneur,
he
right?
used to work for others.
He was
and
an
he-
entrepreneur, like
Yeah.
an entrepreneur within the company.
Yes. So he created a place for me.
Wow.
So I didn't fit my community or my society anymore because women were not supposed to speak when men were speaking. And I remember way back when I had, a relationship, the guy told me, go to the kitchen where the women are. You're not supposed to be
No
here.
way.
And I said, what is this? So my dad told me early on, you don't fit the norm. You have to go overseas and study. So he always said, in my home, we're never going to have a lot of luxury, but you will have a great education because I will invest in you.
Wow.
That was his biggest investment in us. So he sent us to study in Canada.
So your dad was a visionary.
A visionary.
I mean,
when I
big
was
time.
12, I started studying English. I speak French. So I didn't waste, quote unquote, my time outside. I played with
Yeah.
my friends and stuff. But my life, by the time I graduated high school, I had a bookkeeping degree.
Wow.
I spoke
wait.
two
In
languages.
high school, you had a book.
Yes. And I spoke two languages.
And this wasn't I want to get into that a little bit because it wasn't a dad that was, hammering you. You have to do this. No, it came from a place of love, nurturing.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was,
And
it
he was
kind of
tough
on
too.
you.
And he was tough. Like when I
but-
will show up with an 89, 90, he said, what are you talking
could do
about?
better.
Yes. And that could do better.
Gotcha.
Made me an overworker, I think
Yeah.
sometimes. But I wanted to please him, but I also learned to push my boundaries.
Wow.
Sometimes it's like, okay. My sister, for example, was like, oh, I passed with a 70. I'll just get a 70.
Okay.
She was smart enough, but she didn't want to put in the work.
Yeah.
But me, if I could get 100, I will want to get 100. So I was a little bit more competitive that way. But that's the importance of fathers, and that's another whole section. But that's my background. So I went to Canada, and when I went to Canada, I did my first year in Dominican Republic
Okay.
because I was so young. My dad said, well, I'm not sending you right now to overseas. And I said that in my book, Dressed of Glory, that my first choice was to go to New York. or the United States, or Georgia Tech. I was accepted with a scholarship that they
Wow.
gave me.
Okay.
But my dad didn't like the environment. And I
Okay.
was like crying. I say, I didn't study all this for nothing. So when I
Right.
went to Canada to visit one of my family members, I fell in love with the country. Montreal is a beautiful city,
Yeah.
very safe.
Okay.
So then my dad allowed me to stay there and go to school there. So
Gotcha.
my choice of school, I did a year in French, and then I did actuarial math because I needed mathematics to go back to engineering, right?
Right.
And after I did, but they said, Maria, you came up with such a great, grade. You passed, you had a 92 in your initial entry level exam in math. Just do a math career. We need more mathematicians. There are women.
Mathematician. Oh no.
I'm like, why not? Math was my favorite subject. And I'm there doing math. And the biggest mistake was to
I
take
would have
me.
never guessed that about you.
Never?
Math? No.
I know. I was a little nerd back then, and when I put me into a job setting, calculating for insurances and court how much you're worth a limb of you, a leg or an arm,
Oh,
I said,
wow.
this is not for me.
I'm out.
So then, in the middle of the career, I switched to international politics just
Okay.
because I took a class that was called international relations, and that changed me.
And that started your business journey, your
That started my
entrepreneurship journey.
career in politics and image consulting.
Okay.
Because in order for you to become a good and in philanthropy, because I said first of all, I'm not going to study politics for the vote for me. I want to change the world. I mean, that
Yeah.
was me at that age. I still think it can be happening, but I had big dreams. And I want to work for the UN, and I want to I want to change the condition of women in my country.
Wow.
That's what I wanted
That's
to do.
a huge
So
dream.
So then I contribute to that back home. I remember at that time I helped the UN ambassador from the Dominican Republic set up the women ministry and by guiding them in Canada. But that was something that I wanted to do. I didn't want to do the vote for me.
Okay.
But I still had to take the class. And when I took that class, they taught us how to market a candidate. Somebody came and gave us, one of those things. And when I saw the power that image has and the impact that has for others to
Wow.
kind of like make you vote for them. People don't
It's
read.
a real thing. Like what
said-
we see on TV, it's a real thing.
That's when I said, what if I do this for women? Because I noticed that women and many Latinos,
Yeah.
they will miss opportunities at a table because they didn't dress themselves well or they didn't come across as a smart person.
Wow.
So I said,
Because I guess stereotyping is a real thing.
it is not a
And
stereotyping.
It's not stereotyping.
It's like
your image.
our
it's-
brain, it's wired to look at an image and create or attach it to a concept.